Greetings. Today is the 69th session of the online Optom learning series. And today we have with us Miss Ukti Vora. She has not come on our platform once, not twice, but this is her third session with us where Ukti is going to talk about telemedicine in your practice and how to use telemedicine into our clinical practice. Just to give you a background about Ukti, she's an optometrist who finished her graduation and post graduation from India. And then she moved to the US, where she is currently a medical director of a telemedicine company. She has also done her MBA. She is a fellow of the American Academy of Optometry and also a fellow of ASCO. And most importantly, she is the founder, host, and whole and soul, I would say, of Nerdy Optometrist. Nerdy Optometrist is a podcast channel where she interviews optometrists and gets their views on various topics. Some of them being, interviewing them on what's optometry profession been in their country, and women empowerment, and a lot of unique topics where she interviews. And these podcasts are available on various platforms, including the Nerdy Optometrist website and also on Spotify. So I would highly recommend you all to listen to those podcasts and get some details from there. So over to you, Ukti. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Fakhruddin. Thank you so much for the introduction. So, without further ado, I would like to begin my presentation. The title is Telemedicine in Your Practice, and I'm trying to make it an the presentation of how you can use simple tips and tricks in implementing telemedicine in your day-to-day practice. Before we begin, I would like to wish everyone a happy World Sight Day. I know we just passed the World Sight Day, but one thing which I am really proud and happy to be part of this wonderful profession, which helps us provide an option to give sight to people. Another thing which I wanted to point out would be, I hope you all are taking good care of your eyes, because I wonder sometimes, being an optometrist, we do talk about eye care and vision care for everyone, but might forget to do an eye exam ourselves. So if that is the case with you, make sure you go ahead and do your annual yearly eye exam regularly and take care of your eyes as well. So wish you all once again a happy World Sight Day. And thank you, Team OOLS, for inviting me for the third time for a session on telemedicine. I truly appreciate this opportunity. Now, talking about eye care practice, this is what we are, so used to and comfortable with, where everything is within the four walls. Our instruments, our glasses, the optical, clinical, everything is just under one roof. And this is what we are used to seeing, practicing, and it is existing currently all across the world. Now, when we talk about technology or telemedicine, sometimes I feel people fear this is the future where everything would be done by robotics or by person just taking an image, and everything will be taken over by technology. Well, this could be the future, and I definitely feel things the way technology is going ahead, this might happen, but it's not happening right now, and there's definitely a lot more to happen before it reaches this stage. So what we are focusing, or what everyone around the world, when we talk about telemedicine, when we are trying to implement or talk about telemedicine, we are trying to do something like this. We're trying to go ahead and have a hybrid healthcare delivery system. That means taking the best of both worlds. We still need a clinical, optical, brick and mortar practice, but that does not mean we do not connect with the future technology and implement them in our day-to-day practice. So we're going to talk more of a hybrid system versus an individual system, which would not be an ideal way to go ahead, looking at where the technology is going and how things are changing in the healthcare delivery system overall. Now, before we go ahead, I want to launch our first question: is how aware are you about the basics of telemedicine?
Yeah, 50% of them are partially aware.
Mm-hmm.
About 32% say that they are aware, yes, and about 18% say no, they are not aware.
Perfect. So for those who are aware about it, I'm really happy to see this. For those who are not aware about it, don't worry. I'm going to give a quick glimpse of what are the basics of telemedicine. So we'll do a quick walkthrough about the basics, and I appreciate you all sharing your inputs here. So when we talk about telemedicine, just to give you a very basic overview, is it is divided, or it is usually spoken in two types of telemedicine eye exam. One is synchronous, the other is asynchronous. It actually means what the word is. If you look the literal word of synchronous, it means at the same time, right? Like a live video conferencing. This Zoom webinar right now that we have is a synchronous type of teaching and learning, and that is what is one part of telemedicine. Right, when you talk to a patient live on a video call, it's called a synchronous method of doing a telehealth consult or telemedicine consult. The other format is the asynchronous type, where I am recording something, or say I'm taking an image and sending it or forwarding it to my eye doctor. That is asynchronous, which is store and forward, which is I store or I take some information, I send it to an eye doctor, optometrist, optician. They review it and respond to me at their convenience, like a text message, right? Or when you send a WhatsApp, you're sending an information, but you might not have the response live. That's basically the difference between the two. I did the first two sessions that I did with on the same platform are talking about the basics of ocular telehealth and how the entire eye care delivery system is changing with technology. So I would highly recommend for those who have no idea to please go ahead and look into that video, so you'll have a little more familiarity of all different types and terminologies around it. Also, for people who are partially aware, it might be a good thing to just brush up and learn more about what are the different types of telemedicine technology. But from a broader perspective, these are the two types. One is synchronous, which is very much similar to what we are having right now, a Zoom video calling, live video conferencing, talking to your patient at the same time. The other is asynchronous, which is store and forward, where you capture some information, images, videos, documents, and then share it with your eye doctor or later respond to your patient. So it actually happens at a different time, not at the same time. Now, I want to launch another poll. Evan, have you ever practiced telemedicine in any form?
I'm sharing with you the results. So about 70% of them say no, they have not really looked practiced into telemedicine before in any form,
Mhm.
whereas 31% of them have actually, put telemedicine as a practice.
Awesome. So here is what I would actually like to. I feel if I tell you guys something, your response might change and the poll answers might change a bit. So for those who have practiced telemedicine, I see 9 of them, 31%. I would actually want you all to share in your experience in the chat or in the Q&A, and we can discuss a little more at the end. For those who say you haven't adopted it yet, I would like to ask you a quick question. Have your family or friends taken some image of their eyes and asked you a question, hey, what's wrong with my eyes? Or send you some report and say, can you look at it and tell me what are your thoughts? If your answer to those questions is yes, then you have practiced telemedicine. That is what it is. I feel I used to do it when I was back in school. I'm sure many of you must be experiencing this. And if you think of it from a telemedicine perspective, I feel you must have practiced it in some format, not directly with patients, but definitely with friends and family. If you have done a video call with them trying to help and figure out what their eye problem is, then you have done a synchronous format of telemedicine consultation. If they have sent you an image asking you for a suggestion or a second opinion, you look at it at your convenience and respond back with some suggestion, medication, treatment, then that is an asynchronous format of telemedicine consultation. Now, this is the third and the last poll, I promise. I'm asking these questions just so that I can understand how uh, how you feel about telemedicine overall. So the last poll for this session is how many of you feel practicing telemedicine is difficult or complex. But I'm happy to see most of them don't feel it is difficult or complex. Majority of them feel it's easy, which is great. If you're thinking from only one component of what I mentioned, well, if you're thinking from a point of view of someone sending you a text or a report, then maybe it's not that difficult or complex. But I like majority of them feel maybe as an option because yes, it will, you know, it depends on how deep do you go in implementing telemedicine. For people who feel it is too complex and difficult, I think with some tips and tricks that I'm going to talk about throughout the presentation, it will make it feel a lot more easier and not as difficult and complex as you feel. So again, the first question that comes in your mind for those who feel maybe you might have not tried it, you might have just done with friends and family, and for those who have already who fear of implementing it, you might feel how do I implement it in my practice because it is all involved with high tech technology, or is it just the WhatsApp or the text messages that goes back and forth? Is it all about telemedicine? Then you feel, oh, I'm good enough, I've already implemented. Well, before we go into implementation, I want us to all step back and think of how our healthcare delivery system is. There are two concepts when it goes to healthcare delivery system. One is a physician centric, the other is a patient centric. I'm going to go ahead and read the definition for physician centric and then patient centric for us to better understand what I'm trying to talk about. Majority of our healthcare delivery system, if you think from the patient physician centric point of view, it says the process of delivering reactive patient care when a physician is solely responsible for patient's care and flow of information. It's very simple, and this is what we do all the time. Our entire practice or entire healthcare delivery system is based in four walls. You want the patient to come to you telling you that you have XYZ problem, and then you resolve it, right? There is one very small percentage of a patient centric care where the process is designed, uh, where the process of designing a service or solution is around the patient. You would majorly see this kind of an approach when it is for old age patients, or patients in the rural area, or people who cannot really communicate or travel, right? Now what we are trying to do is rethink of how can this be a, a way of delivering healthcare for everybody, not just people who cannot move or are sick. What would you, as a patient, whether young or old, would prefer? Would you like to have an eye care or any healthcare delivery system at the comfort of your home? Or would you like to actually go to a clinic or an hospital and then get yourself examined? I'm sure if given a choice, majority of you would choose, having a healthcare or any healthcare delivery system at the comfort of your home. Nobody really likes to go to hospitals or clinics, right? So when we're talking about telemedicine, even in my role as the director of clinical affairs, what we try to do is how can we take all the equipments or the setup which is there in clinic to the patient's house. So now we are trying to move our entire physician centric approach and convert it into a patient centric approach where patient is in the center, and we as an eye care provider or as a doctors or as a healthcare providers, we go to the patient instead of the patient coming to you for any eye care system. And now we're, as I'd mentioned even earlier, we are not trying to replace everything. We're trying to look and go into a hybrid format at this point. So we definitely have all our sophisticated instruments which helps you do excellent diagnostics. But can this all start from the comfort of a patient's home? That is what we are trying to achieve currently with the implementation of telemedicine. And that is what my rest of the talk is going to be on how you can simply try and start the first consultation of the patient from the comfort of their couch instead of having everyone come to your clinic each and every time. So now let's start on breaking down our entire process of eye care delivery and how you can implement telemedicine in your practice right away. You need not have to wait for very high end sophisticated softwares, but what can you do now and implement it as part of your practice? How do we go ahead and if I have to break down your day, it all starts from taking a patient history or an intake form. There are two ways. One was a traditional paper format where you actually have the patient come in, fill everything, you ask them the questions. But remember when I said patient centric, it is not just your responsibility to collect all the information. As a physician or an eye care provider, you are not solely responsible. When it becomes patient centric, it is something which is mutual. Your patient is participating in their own eye care process or healthcare delivery process. So how can you make each step in such a format where the patient is being part of it? So let's first look at a patient history or an intake form. Can you digitalize it? Well, the answer is yes. It might, many hospitals, especially in developed countries like United States, we do have something which is called electronic medical record system or electronic health record system, EMR, EHR, pretty much the same, where you collect all the information about the patient's demographics, their past medical history, their ocular history, their current complaints. All these things are something which you're asking the patient and documenting. Now, here is the question. Can you make the patient fill that information prior to them even stepping in the store? So you have a better idea before you start the practice or you see the patient in office. If yes, why not? Why not save that 10 minutes or 15 minutes that you're spending with the patient and minimize that to probably just 5 minutes where you're just asking the questions which are missing? So if you can invest in a very good, EMR system, that's great. If not, I feel we can start with a simple Google form or a Survey Monkey form, where you can ask the patient to fill in before they even step into your clinic or an optical practice. So you are well aware of the patient's history and information. As rightly said, patient history actually helps you to come down to like 70% of differential diagnosis. So even before they step into your clinic, you know what the patient is looking for, and you can actually plan out an entire series of questions, treatment, potential differential diagnosis, everything well in advance. That definitely will help you save a lot of time, not just for you but also for the patients. So think about it, and this is a very easy way to implement it. Step two is your preliminary test, right? You want to actually take images and look at the overall external ocular and facial areas. Well, with all our smartphones, the images are amazing, and you know that I feel majority of the people would have for phone with best cameras. Why not, utilize it for your advantage? It is very easy nowadays for people to take an image of an eye and send it to you. But this is something which we really would want to focus and emphasis on is a good image. Sending an image would be easy, but taking a good image or getting a good image from a patient might be difficult. A very good information which I would like to share if you are planning on implementing this would be creating a document or a one pager which gives the patient tips and tricks on how to take good images, instructions about lighting and focusing. People have written blogs of how to have perfect lighting even for Zoom meetings. Here you're trying to make diagnostics. So read up a little bit and create what is the best way of lighting and focusing to capture good images. Now there are additional attachments on the phones available as well. They are cheap, very cheap attachments which patients can attach and take a good image. That's something that you can opt and think for and offer it to your patients, but that's not necessary. unless if you feel that you're not able to, you are in an area where people don't have very good camera phones, you can think of those attachments. But majority of the people now have camera with good phones with good camera, so I think you should be fine if you instruct them well. Also giving them a visual of how to take images of different parts of the eye. If you can create an illustrations of that, it will be very easy to capture whatever information you want from the patient, and they will be providing it to you. So imagine you're getting the patient history, you're taking the images, and you're aware of what the external eye looks like. You pretty much have a very good information to start the conversation, right? And you can actually think of what is needed. Do the patient really need to come in the office for a treatment, whether it, or you can treat it through telemedicine. So you can actually at this point could start with something what we call as treat or triage. Triage is asking the patient, hey, come in the clinic for XYZ, or I can treat you something over the phone or through telemedicine. You might not want to come in, especially during this time of COVID, right? So this is again very important way or a easy step which you can instruct and help your patients from the comfort of your couch. The next thing is screening. I do know it's not just taking images. You do a lot of other tests when the patient comes in your clinic. Checking ocular motility, pupillary reactions, near point of convergence, cover test, peripheral vision test. Well, you can do all this as well through video calling. Now, I'm going to play a short video where a doctor is trying to evaluate the extraocular motility. I will be sharing the link of the videos from where I've captured, which is from Stanford Medicine, where they talk about how to take measurements or provide these tests through telemedicine as well for each and every test. It's very simple and something which majority of your patients can participate in. Let's watch at the video and then we'll talk a little more about it.
All right, and now, just like you are now, trying to keep your head still, look all the way to the right, look all the way to the left, look up. Okay, and now using one hand to hold up each eyelid, look down. Excellent. Okay, look straight at the camera. We're going to look at this one other way. I want you to keep your eyes looking at the camera, but turn your head. So it'll be like this. Excellent. Okay, and now turn your head all the way to the other side. Good, straighten it out. Look, put your chin down, keep looking at the camera. Good, and lift your chin up, keep looking at the camera. Great. All right, look straight again. What I want you to do is keep looking at the camera and cover your right eye with your hand. Good, uncover. And now cover your left eye with your hand. Uncover. Good. And now look past the camera if you can. Keep your head in the same position. Cover your right eye with your hand. Uncover. And cover your left eye with your hand. Uncover. Great. Now what I want you to do is, do you have something handy that you could cover your eye with just to block from seeing?
My phone?
Perfect. Okay. So just like you are, I want you to cover first one eye and then shift to the other, but keep looking at the same things, perhaps the camera. Great. And I want you to keep doing that, but look at something past the camera, so you're looking in the distance. Wonderful. Perfect.
All right, I hope this was a helpful video. I personally felt it is such a simple way of implementing telemedicine right now, right? And if you can create or share this video with your patients, you can actually ask them to do the ocular motility, the cover uncover test, and send it to you even before you actually get on a video call with them. So think about it. Even for pupil size and pupillary response, you can check out the videos, but all you need for them to do is keep a flashlight with them. If they don't have a flashlight, they can use the camera phone flash, right? And I'm sure everyone has a camera phone with a flashlight on that. So you could be creative in a way that how can you think of all the screening tests that you are doing in office can be done at the patient's comfort, at the patient's home. These are a lot of pre-screening tests which you do anyways in the clinic, and that could take about 15 to 20 minutes odd. What if you can collect all this data before the patient steps into your clinic, especially during this time where people are hesitant to come in the clinics or in the optical outlets? Also, it will help you to keep a record. When you are doing it in the clinic, you are actually doing a very subjective test, right? You see it and you write it, and that's all. There is no record or digital record of what it actually looked like. This could actually convert this entire test into a digital format which you can save. And if there is any changes, like how you do for any other, say for a slit lamp image, for fundus image, you have a record which you can go back and look to. Something similar can be done even for these tests, which were otherwise done just in an office setup where you were the sole person making the decision. This could be something which you can share and even discuss with your colleagues and peers if you find something interesting. So this is a very good way of recording, and this all can be done without any major investments or very high tech technology. It is very simple, easy to implement. I highly recommend all of you to check out the other videos on how they're testing other things from the patient's comfort of their home. All right. Now, visual acuity. I do know this is something that, is most important information that we're trying to capture, as it will help you to gauge the status of the patient's eye. So here are several apps. Most of them are free apps, or some are even web-based, which you can easily download and do a basic visual acuity test. When we're talking about a few applications like smart optometry, or even what my company has to offer from eyecare Life, we do have more tests than just vision. So there would be like contrast, there'll be color testing, all these things are available in an app format. Though I'm nowhere here to say they are validated or they're accurate and they are the best way to go, but let's not just completely ignore it, that hey, what, this is the wrong way to do it, I don't rely on it, I'm not even going to look at it. What I personally feel the way to go would be to test it out, see what is the variation, do your own small research in your clinic, that what would be the difference between an actual in office visual acuity chart versus something which you're done using an app or a web version of it, so that you understand. Suppose if it is showing say 6 by 6 or 6 by 9, 6 by 18, or I'm not sure if you all use 2020 or 2030, whatever format of visual acuity recording you use, if it is showing a difference, is it normal or abnormal? Create your own standards and do your own research so that you are aware of how reliable these visual acuity tests are. But if a patient is not able to, come or visit, or you are having some limitations because of COVID, this might be a good way to start. It is not the accurate way. You don't want to make any, decisions out of it. But suppose if a patient is complaining that they are having some sudden visual loss, it might be a good way just for them to understand the emergency of whether they need to come to an office right away or it can wait. It might be a good screening tool. That's all I would like to say on the visual acuity, because there are a few studies done around it which say it's not as accurate, but it is something where you can use it and keep it handy as and when required. Talking about advanced testing. Now, here are a couple of other testings that you can invest in. One would be your slit lamp and fundus imaging. There are portable, attachments that you can actually buy and then use it. Home monitoring for eye pressures for any glaucoma testing. There are attachments for refraction by various companies which you can use, which can give you like prescription for glasses for the patients. And now visual field using Oculus and these VR devices. I do understand all these requires an investment, and these a- attachments or applications or are not cheap. But the way it is worked in countries like United States is the clinician or an optician would invest in one or two of the devices depending on the volume that you see, and then they loan it out to the patient, and they charge it for each time the instrument is sent out to the patient for doing the test, and then they get it back. So that could be another way where you can actually mail out the instrument to the patient, ask them to do a refraction or take a self test, send you the results, and get back the instrument as well. That is one format which has successfully been implemented in United States. If you think you can try an experiment with your patients, you might as well want to do it, especially for an measurement of eye pressures, because you want to monitor it over a period of time. It might be a good idea to loan it to a patient for say a month, where they can record, send you the information regularly, and then you can make your decisions in your treatment accordingly. Talking about dispensing, as we have a few people, who are from a dispensing and optical background, apart from all the clinical side, technology can also be used on the dispensing side. One, one of the technologies which is very well used in the current situation, especially in United States, is virtual try-ons. As you can see, this is a virtual try-on that I tried while I was actually making my presentation. So I just quickly I went to a website, did a virtual try on of glasses that I just thought would look nice, and I just took a screenshot. Now, this is something which, would save a lot of time if you can have this on your website. One, I do know with the current situation, there is a lot of rules and regulations for sanitization. Imagine how much time if it can save if you can give this option to your patient well in advance, or to your consumer or your customer well in advance, and they've already narrowed down to the frame that they like, or at least they know instead of trying 50 frames that okay, these are the two frames I want to try, right? Now, this also talks about the model. As you can see right here, it talks about the model, the brand, whether it can be made in prescription or not. It helps you take a snapshot, and the minute you click on snapshot, it actually downloads it on your computer, which the patient can share and send it out to their friends and family, make a decision which one looks good. The entire hassle of which looks better, this or this, which might take 1 hour in your clinic or in your optical outlet, can be taken away and be done from the comfort of their home. Something which you would like to try, experiment, and just tell, hey, you know what, this is what I want. And if they've made a decision, what majority of the clinics or optical practices do here is they just ask the patient to upload it. So they really don't need to even talk to the patient or have the patient or the consumer step in the store at all. You look at the frame, if you like it, you just upload. If you have a prescription, send it out to us and we'll get your glasses made. So virtual try-ons is something which is definitely an upcoming technology, and it is something which is extremely useful. Why would you not want to try it on, right? With especially with cameras which are so good, it actually lets you capture and get a real feel of how the glasses would look like. At the end, I know people always try to turn on their front camera and see how these glasses or sunglasses look on them before they make their decisions. So this would actually, save a lot of time for you as well as for the patient. Now, I'm sure when you're talking about dispensing, your next concern would be how do we take or measure our the PDs or IPDs, pupillary distance, and segment height for various progressors or bifocals. Well, that is also being taken care by a few of these opticals who do practice this successfully, at least in United States. Now here in the first image, as you can see, is a scale that helps you measure it. I will be sharing the link which is a free PDF form, which actually has instructions and how a patient can, take an image and how they can send you the measurements by direct. I'll drop that in with the team, and they'll drop that in the description. But if you want, just feel free to go to this website, iBuyDirect, and they allow you to download a free PDF form. Again, this link, you can send it to your patient, ask them to follow the instructions, and send you a selfie. With the selfie or a good image, please make sure, for any telemedicine, a good image is the key. Now, because the patient is doing it and you do not have a control, you want to give as clear instructions as you want to. So there are a couple of things. One, using these PD ruler, which can be printed on paper and can be used. Other is using a regular scale or a ruler for measuring it, like in the second image. And the third image of credit card is done to measure the segment height. There are tons and tons of videos on how you can implement it using a credit card or any card which is of the same size of the credit card, and the measurements would be very easy for you to measure the segment height and also the pupillary distance. So all you need for them is to take a scale or print a PD ruler or just use their credit card. These simple techniques will help you measure your segment height as well as PD. So do check out few videos. If you they're very easily available on YouTube, but I can also drop in few links in with the team, and they can add it in the description if you like. So all these things are a way for you to actually implement it and take away all those extra time which is there surrounded, in your practice, out of the practice, and it actually involves the patient participant as well. And the more you have the patient or the consumer participating in this process, the better is the involvement, the prognosis, and the way they take care of their eyes and overall health. Now, there are other specialties as well, which you can do using simple telemedicine techniques. One is myopia screening. Now, when you talk about myopia screening, of course, you require, a lot more advanced technologies, as myopia is like the topmost conversation right now. But can a part of it done through telemedicine? The answer is yes. You can take the basic visual acuity. You can also do a pre-screening questionnaire. I am sure people who are in myopia assessment would be aware about the myopia screening forms, which actually talks about their family history, whether their hours of computer use, indoor versus outdoor time that they spend, talk about what is the refractive error, family history, and all those information. The predetermining factor which determines whether the patient is at a risk of developing myopia or no could be easily done through myopia screening questionnaire. That will really help you to understand whether the patient requires an urgent myopia evaluation or not. Second is contact lenses. For contact lenses, what many people are currently looking and focusing at is again taking good images with the contact lenses on. But another important piece which can be taken out of the clinic is the insertion removal training. Yes, you can actually train a patient, if they are eligible, on how to wear and insert and remove and maintain your contact lenses over a video call chat. And there are a lot of organizations and clinics who are trying to see how that can be done and how can we kind of document it and create like a set format to help other practitioners implement it. But as everyone is trying to learn and implement this, I would actually recommend, if you can try, if you have a good candidate, why not try take the entire training of insertion removal out of your clinic and putting it on a telemedicine platform where you're actually spending say 20-30 minutes from the comfort of your home, the patient's home, and it's much more safer during this time. Again, the third is binocular vision screening and even some of the vision therapy tests. Now there are a lot of vision therapy apps and treatments that are possible to be done through home monitoring or home training. So instead of having the patient coming every time in your clinic, you can actually start doing screening for conditions like, computer vision syndromes, or for eye strains or convergence insufficiency and things, just by questionnaire to evaluate from the home. And you can also do a follow up of their vision therapy treatments as home therapy than having them come each and every time in your clinic. Now, what are the advantages of implementing telemedicine, and why do people talk about it? Why am I talking about it? Right? Now, technology, as you know, we are surrounded by technology, gadgets, and we feel they're actually making our lives easier. Technology is there in even a grocery store. If you are not aware of the Amazon Go concept, let me take a second to explain how that works. Amazon has actually stores where there is no employee in the store. As a consumer, you walk in, you pick whatever you want, you scan the product, and you're out. So there is like zero human interaction or help required. They call it Amazon Go stores. And they actually started that idea with one store, but now they have several stores across United States. And it's such a simple thing, right? And how they do it, you scan your Amazon Prime card or your number, you just scan it on the phone, you walk in, you pick everything, and they actually have technology and systems which can actually monitor who has picked what item, and you just walk out, and based on the number of items that you've scanned, it automatically bills you on the card, and you have to not see or meet any human at all. So if a technology is implemented at a grocery store level, why not have it, at a healthcare and make a patient's life easier? Because all we are looking at in the current situation is making our life easier and simpler and bringing eye care, healthcare to their home. So technology is definitely the present and the future. It also is known, there are several studies which talk about it contributes to a patient's compliance and prognosis. Now, we have to remember when we are talking about any eye conditions or any health conditions, it's not just you have glasses or you have certain conditions and you need a treatment. There are several social and environmental determinants as well. Imagine I am, working. I do not have time off during your clinic or your retail hours. Instead of me taking a day off and coming to it, can I start something at home? And that could be a good start. And it will also make me a compliant patient. And I'll stick to your regime because I can do something at my convenience versus adjusting it from my busy schedule to come to your clinic or practice. That I might do it within 6 months to a year. But if I can do it something from home, I might do it right away with a click. So it definitely contributes to better patient compliance and prognosis. When you tell the patient and ask them to do series of 10 to 15 tests, like as we discussed, ask them questions, ask them to fill up the form, make them do all the preliminary tests themselves, they understand the time and effort you are putting in to do a thorough eye exam or evaluation. And you can actually charge your services, especially for practitioners in India, where I know we don't really charge and we do like all free eye exams. This could be an opportunity to tell them that, hey, this is not a free eye exam because I'm going to do a complete eye exam or an evaluation for you, and this is all what is included. This actually gives you an opportunity to educate your patient and also tell them that you're going to charge for the service, which I feel is 100% necessary for every eye care professional who is working out there. You have to charge your services. It widens your scope of practice. Currently, you might only be able to see patients, who can travel or visit your clinic or optician. With these online services, you can actually connect with the patient from anywhere in your country, right? You don't have to physically be there. You can actually help them from the comfort of their house. Once you have all the information collected, you need to understand that there are these technologies and the buzzwords like artificial intelligence, machine learning. I have actually spoken about it in my previous webinar. You can also go back and listen more about it. But all they do is, they try to put system or technology and remove the redundant human work. But once you have these basic technology implemented, then you can think about how can you advance these analytics or run analytics around the data that you've collected using artificial intelligence or machine learning. So it will also help you in research, right? Because everything that you do is documented and stored somewhere. So it definitely contributes in advances, using these other layer or the second stage of advanced technologies that you want to implement. And not to forget, it spreads awareness. It definitely contributes, because you can talk about the not just a limited things about, okay, this is your eye problem. You can talk about a lot more of the importance of eye care, importance of regular eye checkup, annual eye checkup, importance of dilation, importance of them coming in your clinic, and lot more. You're getting this opportunity and extra time which you've removed from your clinic, have them in their house to start the eye exam, and then when they come in the clinic, you can actually talk about a lot more information than spending your time on these additional preliminary eye exams or screening tests. What are the limitations? Of course, there is a learning curve both for the patients as well as for the doctors. This is a new system. A patient and you, we both are not used to it. We are learning, but trust me, the patients are learning really quickly, and it's time for us to adapt it really soon. Because when they are using these cell phones for majority of the time that I shared, they know the phones better than anyone, so they are super comfortable of using it. And majority of the patients currently are tech savvy, right? Everybody takes selfie, everybody are used to using some of the other applications. So they are ready. Are we ready? And if not, it's time for us to step up our games. But make sure there is a learning curve. You might not get the perfect result for all the patient. You have to be patient. Try to find the sweet spot on how you can train both yourself as well as your patient. There are technical limitations. Very, very important. All the devices which were being designed so far, if you, I'm sure we all can agree to it, were designed only to be utilized in the office, in the four walls. We were not thinking of a patient-centric approach. We were all thinking of a physician-centric approach. Now things are gradually moving towards it. So when you talk about the apps, they are not as accurate as it would be in the clinic when you're doing your vision test or contrast or color. So it definitely has a technical limitation, and majority of them are good screening tools. They're not diagnostic tools that are easily available or you can use it. So that is definitely something in the works, and there are many companies that are working on developing more diagnostic tools to help cater this technical limitations. Financial investments, if you're looking at something which is a little more on a higher end, like virtual try-ons or those imaging for ocular surfaces and retinal imaging for IOP, yes, there is a financial investments to begin with. But the advantage is definitely you can serve a lot more patient, you can widen your scope of practice, you are already ahead of your curve. You can say you're providing the best technical support to your patients. So the financial investment do come with a lot with its own perks as well. Also technical dependency, as I mentioned, not every test or things are validated, and you are dependent on technology. If technology fails, you kind of cannot do much. If the camera is not good, if the patient is not able to take a good image, you might not be able to make any diagnostics. So yes, there is a technical limitation. Now, if you think, when I'm talking about all these advances and innovations, one might argue, hey, what, you are in United States, things are happening there. Well, not really. It is happening even around you and next to you. For people all in India, the innovation is happening right there. I want to share a short video of the kind of innovation that is happening at LV Prasad Eye Institute, Center of Innovation.
LV Prasad Eye Institute Center for Innovation computational medicine team develops models to empower our clinicians and other associated eye health professionals at the rural level by developing solutions
Doctor, do you agree?
to identify and classify the anomalies of the eye. It's essentially one layer at a time. First starting with the surface of the eye, the cornea, the depth of the anterior chamber, iris, lens, etc. This is a clinical decision support system that empowers our colleagues in low resource settings, that helps to scale up our services with much broader coverage.
So as you can see, the innovation is happening right around you. All you have to think of what problem you're trying to solve and how can you make your services patient-centric versus physician-centric. A final takeaway, when I'm talking about all the technologies and when you watch all the videos, you might feel, hey, you know what, everything is going to be taken care by technology. Do I really need to study optometry? Well, yes. Your basic optometry skills are the key here. These skills are the only one which will help you make the best decisions, because technology only tells you what they know, but you know the ifs and buts, you know the gray areas. For technology, it's only black and white. There is no gray in it, right? But it is your skills, it is your expertise which will help you make the best decision for the patient. Remember, technology, telemedicine, all these equipments are your supporting tool. They are not replacing you. So there is no replacement for in-person eye exam. There is no replacement for your optometry skills and your knowledge. So please don't think this is a shortcut and you can skip mastering your optometry skills with this technologies coming in. No, you need them to make much more informed decision using these additional support tools. Another thing which I feel is an important takeaway is identify the gaps and think of the solution. So these are a few things that I said, okay, you can implement XYZ, but what are the other things which you feel you can implement to help your patient's life easier? Try to find the gaps, try to find what can be done or removed from your clinic and be given to the patient. And you want the patient to be a partner in this entire eye exam. You don't want to solely own it. You want to be providing an eye care together or a healthcare system which works in a hybrid format. You as an optometrist actually can contribute in building this technology, because the kind of knowledge you have as an optometrist or an eye care provider, not any engineers or any technical people have. So you should be the one telling what you require, how the system should be developed, and how the technology should be there to provide accurate eye care along with something that helps both the patients as well as the doctors. So I want each and every one of you to think in a way that what can I do to contribute in building this technology? One, you can either think and actually build it. Two, could be reusing and validating it. So this is what my last takeaway is. You have to try, learn, and adapt using these new technologies. Thank you.
Thank you, Ukti. I think it was quite comprehensive, and thank you very much for doing this on a very early morning. I forgot to mention that it's like 7:30 now at your time. We started at 6:30 a.m.
Yes.
Your time, and now it's 7:30, I guess. So thank you very much, for doing the talk. And we do have loads of questions already on the chat. So let's take the first question. Uh, there you go. So the first question is, can we implement a combination of physician centric plus patient centric in our practices in terms of telemedicine? And will it be effective if we do that? Any comments on that?
Yes. So this is what I'm actually trying, that I thought I was trying to tell throughout the presentation is, yes, we are, and we're always looking for a combination. We're not looking for only physician-centric, which we are used to for years, and we feel, oh, the patient-centric approach is only when someone is in the rural part of the country or when they cannot travel. We are looking at a hybrid, which is a combination of both. What can be done for the patients at the comfort of their house? Let not do it in your clinic, and it's definitely possible using telemedicine.
Okay, great.
And the second part of the question is, would telemedicine solely be as effective? At this point, probably not, unless it is something which is an ocular surface, like if someone has an allergy or someone has a subconjunctival hemorrhage, something which is like more ocular and in front of your eye. Maybe you treat only using telemedicine. But if you're looking at a more complex eye conditions, only telemedicine is not there yet.
Okay. Yeah, and you did mention it's kind of a screening and not diagnostic anyway. So
Exactly. Not yet.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. The other question is again an interesting one. Would it be an appointment based rather than walk-in based? So will there be a paradigm shift? Because most of the time, when we are looking at patients in whatever setup you are, probably the clinical side of setup would be mostly appointment based at this point of time. But
Right.
the optical definitely is not appointment based in most parts of the world. What's your take on this? If we implement telemedicine, would it be more of appointment based rather than walk-in based?
Absolutely. It should ideally be. So here is a format what we use, like what I've designed in my companies. What we do is the patient can submit an appointment request and then you schedule it. So if you're available right away, you take a walk-in. If you are not available right away, you can schedule it. So there's definitely an option for you to decide how you want to practice telemedicine. But there is an hybrid way of there. If you want, there are few doctors who I know are practitioners who say, I'm going to practice telemedicine for a few hours, and they just see every patient that's available. There are few doctors who say, hey, you know what, I have my in brick and mortar practice, but send me a request and I'll tell you when can I see you. And you have to remember, telemedicine usually will have some component of synchronous, wherein you're doing a live video call, and you want to spend good time and not make it appear as it is a shortcut. It is not a shortcut. You are actually spending time talking and explaining the patient if you're treating them. Also, if you are triaging it and asking them to come to your clinic, you have to explain what is the condition. And because they are at the comfort of the house, they might actually have more questions than they would ask you in the clinic. So make sure you have good amount of time.
Yes, 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 that's true. So that's why 2 points. First, your basic optometry skills should be there. So it's not good.
Oh yeah, there is no running away from that.
No, 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 no. So you must be, prepared with that. And yeah, I think professional fees is one point which you also did mention. You can actually charge professional fees for doing this. I mean, uh,
Actually, I want to correct it. It's not you can, you should.
you should be
That
charged.
you should. I even a plumber charges a plumbing fee for the time. We are an optometrist. Why are we not charging?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think that at least if nothing, telemedicine can be one push to optometrists to start charging your professional fees. We are charging for our services. I mean, that's
Right.
really.
But you have to do justice as well. You just cannot say, "Ha, bhai, like just put this drops and you're good," or don't do shortcuts. Do justice. Just because it is telemedicine, I feel you have to be extra thorough. You have to ask good patient history. You have to collect a good images to make an informed decision. Don't use this as a shortcut.
Great. And looking at another question, what's your take on doing this particular telemedicine for pediatric population? Any experience, and would that be a challenge compared to the elderly?
Well, it depends on the age group. It also depends when we're talking about, say, taking images. Well, if the kid is really small, then yes. But I'm pretty sure currently the kids are spending a lot more time in front of the screen, and they are very familiar with taking selfies. If you're talking about a 4 or 5 year old kid, they might be able to easily take a very good selfie. So if you have to train the parents, and of course you want to practice telemedicine with adult supervision, especially for kids. You cannot just say a kid will do it. It is possible, though when you're talking for visual acuity, of course they would accommodate, it would not be very reliable. But when you're talking about screening questionnaires, say for myopia, are they at a risk or not, along with the patient, along with the parent supervision, you can gather good information. And if you're asking right question in your patient history to the parent, you can definitely start the guidance of what is required to be done at that stage for the patient. So pediatric age group is definitely possible, but it is the kind of eye conditions we are trying to cater with pediatric versus an adult is definitely different. So with adult it's a lot more easier versus for pediatric, where you want to use advanced diagnostics. For screening it is definitely possible.
Great. And I think if I'm reading the chat, one of our attendees did say that she has an experience in pediatrics and special kids where telemedicine is much more convenient because they are at the comfort of their home. So that
Right.
phobia of going to an eye doctor is kind of gone. So they are more compliant probably, and that would be much more easier to do. So that's a positive side of it.
Absolutely. Also, it also depends on when they're doing it at home. Say, taking an image. It's more like taking a selfie. It doesn't feel like an eye exam. It feels something that they are so used to and comfortable with. So make sure you make it patient centric. Something what will reflect or connect with your patient, versus sitting that this is what I'm taught in my clinic or in my school and this is what I'm going to do. Like, start thinking how can you make it more fun and relatable to your patients.
That's great. Yeah. Okay, let's take next question. There are a couple of questions. Let's just break it down. So
Sure.
I think the first question you did clarify that those visual acuity monitoring apps, we need to actually test them out and see for their repeatability and for their reliability. So any ways to improve the accuracy in terms of what can we look at it, whether the testing distance should be maintained, or probably any other tips which we can actually share with our patients, or is it based on app to app, or
Right.
what?
It is based on app to app, and they do tell you the instructions on how to do an accurate eye exam. Some visual acuity apps or tests are too device based, so they require a desktop or a laptop which will work as a screen, and then you move about 10 feet away and your phone works as a remote. Some use just a phone to do it. I prefer the two device or the desktop version a little better over something which is on the phone, but still it cannot be as equally accurate as your in office visual acuity charts. What I would rather want you to do, a simple test, is try out these apps or assistants because they are free. You're not spending anything, just download it and see what is the difference. So if you know that it is off by 2 lines or it is off by say 1 line, when you are recording, you know what you have to instruct the patient, and what would the ideal range versus what the app is showing. So try to do your own research, because there's not too much of information out there. Everybody says it's accurate, but well, it isn't proven. So
That's true. And you did mention about loaning equipments to the patients, where a specific example was on the eyecare
yeah. Yeah.
monitor IOP system. So again, it comes to an investment part. So do you think it will be a challenge, or if practices have to get more sets, and then because they have to see, they are not only seeing one patient, because we want to loan them probably 1 month, 1 week, or 2 weeks to monitor, it's going to take some time. So is there a barrier, or how?
So here is a thing. Definitely there is an investment. Currently, home eye care monitoring is the only device that is available for IOP measurements, which is FDA approved and can be done as a home monitor. So you can add the cost of each device, if I'm not wrong, is about to a couple of thousands of dollars. So it's like, $2,000 to $3,000 for each instrument. If you're planning, if you have the budget, and if you have the patient flow, might as well invest in couple of them. But what you can also try and do is speak to the company representative and see if you can take it on loan from them. So they give you on loan and then you pass it on loan. So it will actually ease out on the financial investment rather than just buying it out.
That's true. And this is in terms of billing. I'll just take this if you got any
Hmm.
suggestions, because when it comes to billing patients or charging professional fees, if you are doing it as a teleconsult, would it be easier for them to get into the health insurance and get the billing? Any ideas on that?
Yes, so I'm not sure of how it is practiced in other countries, to be very honest. But when I talk about telemedicine, billing, and insurance in United States, there is a lot of relaxation in the laws and the rules because of COVID. Actually, that has become kind of a boon in disguise. Where earlier the insurance and all were very stringent of not paying a single penny out for if it was a telemedicine consult. But because of the current COVID scenario, they have actually relaxed a lot of laws and they allow insurance billing. So I would highly recommend you to look into the laws and the regulations for your country. But there's definitely a lot of adaptations in many countries based on my information that I've heard.
That's great. Okay. And I think speaking to the what insurance company are they using, and going abiding their recommendations, and
Requirements.
they have some additional forms to fill up. But as you said, COVID has done something good as well, because they have relaxed their rules. So I think
Here's another thing when you talk about requirement, I do know, I'm not sure if it implies in every country, but here you can charge based on the duration or the time you spent with the patient. So the doctor actually records the time that they have invested in, doing the telehealth consult. So maybe 10 minutes would have, say, less insurance payment versus 30 minutes. You can charge more and the insurance will pay you more as well. So it all depends on what are the laws, but this is again another benefit that you are paid for every minute spent with the patient.
that's good to know. Yeah, I don't think it's possible in India, but I think it's possible
Yeah.
in the Western countries. I think
Yes.
if we're talking about insurance. Let's
Right.
look at another question. Is there any apps which you would actually recommend, which has both artificial intelligence and telemedicine combined to evaluate posterior segments? So any apps would you recommend?
There is a company called Centerview. They do have these attachments which do take attaches with an iPhone, if I'm not wrong, and they do take posterior segment images. When you talk about an algorithm for AI, you might not always want. I'm not sure if they run it, but I do know there are additional companies where you have to submit the images and they do run your artificial intelligence, algorithm on it. So I don't see that as a combination is rightly available, but it is separately available and both the services can be combined. So there are companies who do evaluation or run algorithm on images that you submit, and there are attachments that help you take fundus images remotely.
Okay, that's good. And
But this is one segment which actually requires, which we are also looking for. If someone comes across some good posterior segment imaging thing, do let me know as well.
sure, sure. And this is just kind of an observation. One of the limitations for telemedicine, which the attendee has found, is there are a lot of questions. I mean, you did mention appointment based, along with the time limit is a must. So, what's your suggestion over this? I mean, you did mention that the more time you spend, the more professional fees you can charge. That's one. And any other thing which you would like to add on here?
I agree with what Shama is saying. Thank you, Shama, for the comment. I feel that is 100% right. uh, and that is why, so there is a gray zone, right? It's not that for every minute you talk you're going to keep charging them, because you have to tell them in advance that, hey, you know what, this is my fee going to be. If you're saying 200 rupees or say 500 rupees, it's not that you're going to sit and talk with them for 1 hour, nor you want to do a shortcut where you leave in like 5 minutes and, hey, I'm done, and you charge 500 rupees. Nobody's going to pay you. So try to be as smart as you could be, like you would do in a clinic. When you have 30 patients waiting, you need to know when to cut short and say, hey, you know what, for these things I would rather ask you to come in the clinic, or this is all what I can help for. So try to gauge out your way out of that conversation.
Yep, that's really. I mean, the practical example is, yeah, you know that you have an appointment waiting outside, and you are seeing that 30 patients waiting in queue in your hospital. You know where to stop, and you know what to do. What's problem oriented kind of examination, rather than just sitting there and talking too much.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want to be sitting and doing just one patient. With telemedicine, the beauty is you can actually scale up. You can see the patients at odd times, like, before and after your clinic hours too, because you are at the comfort of your house, the patient is in the comfort of their house. So you want to see more patients. You don't want to see just three patients throughout the day and spend 1 hour with each. So
Okay, let's take one last question. Do you have any suggestions or recommendation of the customized visual tryovers on sites of manufacturers, which would helpful for attendees to try on? Any recommendations which are free of charge available? Probably that's, if I can put that way.
free, I'm not really sure of the free ones. I do know few companies who offer it, but they come along, but they are majorly United States based. So there is Warby Parker, they do offer virtual try-ons. There is a company called Zenny Opticals, they do offer virtual try-ons. But I can try and dig more information for this for you guys. From one of my co-founder who uses this try-on. If I can get you more information on the particular manufacturer. I don't see it is free, but at least if it is available in your country, you might be able to try it on.
Yeah, the free was just my add-on actually. It was not the question. I just wanted to know whether there's any free.
No, free. I haven't come across it, so I don't know if
We
it's
have
free. I've
one
always
free actually, the Nerdy Optometrist Visual Try-on Kit.
yes,
There's only one spectacle, but has many colors. So I think you can try that on. Okay, so yeah, I think we have taken almost all questions. Thank you, Ukti, for doing this for us. I think it was a very informative, and I think now probably we were doing telemedicine
yes.
unintentionally, but now probably we'll put it into practice and do it more professionally. Is what I would put it as.
Absolutely. And thank you so much once again, everyone, for your questions. Thank you for joining in and adding your thoughts and comments. If you have any other thing, feel free to pass it on to Fakrudin or the entire team of OOLS, or you can also connect with me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or email me, and I would be happy to help you with any questions that I can.
Thank you so much, Ukti.
Thank
So
you.
just for the attendees, we do have session tomorrow. Please tune in. We have a session on contact lenses and why contact lens care is a vital or an important part for contact lens practice success. So it's at 6:30 evening Indian time and late evening 9 p.m. Malaysian time. Thank you everyone for joining in. I'll see you all again tomorrow. Take care, be safe, and bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, T. Bye bye.